At first glance, the expectation of encountering extraterrestrial civilizations feels almost inevitable. The numbers alone seem overwhelming. Hundreds of billions of galaxies, each galaxy containing hundreds of billions of stars. Around many of those stars, planets form naturally, rocky worlds, ocean worlds, moons with hidden seas. From this perspective, life appears not as a miracle, but as a statistical outcome. For much of the 20th century, this reasoning created optimism. If life arose on Earth relatively quickly, then similar processes should occur elsewhere. If intelligence evolved here, it should evolve elsewhere. And if technology emerged once, it should emerge again. The universe is old enough. Space is vast enough. Time has had more than enough opportunity. This expectation crystallized into a simple question, posed by physicist Enrico Fermi during a casual conversation. Where is everybody? The question was not rhetorical. It was mathematical. Even if intelligent civilizations were rare, emerging only once per million habitable planets, the sheer scale of the cosmos suggests that thousands, perhaps millions, should exist right now. Given enough time, some of them should have spread beyond their home systems. Even at sublight speeds, a technological civilization could explore or colonize a galaxy in a few million years. A blink of an eye on cosmic timescales. And yet, we see nothing. No probes, no megastructures, no unmistakable signals, no evidence of large-scale engineering reshaping stars or galaxies. The sky is silent. This silence becomes more troubling the longer we think about it, because it is not explained by distance alone. Modern telescopes are capable of detecting powerful radio emissions across interstellar space. We can identify planets hundreds of light-years away. We can analyze the chemical composition of alien atmospheres. And still, nothing stands out as clearly artificial. The absence itself becomes data. One comforting explanation is that intelligent life is extraordinarily rare. That Earth is an exception, a cosmic accident unlikely to repeat. But this idea has grown weaker over time. We now know that planets are common. Organic molecules are widespread. Water exists throughout the galaxy. The ingredients for life are not scarce. So the silence persists. Another explanation suggests that civilizations do exist, but they are simply too far away or too different for us to detect. Their technologies may not use radio waves. Their timescales may not overlap with ours. Their signals may be brief, subtle, or easily missed. This is possible. But it requires an uncomfortable coincidence that across billions of years and countless civilizations, none have left a detectable trace within our reach. Not one. Not ever. At some point, coincidence begins to feel like avoidance. The Fermi Paradox does not claim that aliens do not exist. It highlights a contradiction between expectation and observation, between what should be visible and what is visible. And as our instruments improve, this contradiction sharpens rather than dissolves. The more we look, the quieter the universe becomes. As you let this idea settle, imagine standing in a vast city at night, filled with buildings, roads, and infrastructure, but with no lights turned on, no movement, no sound. The city exists, but something has prevented it from ever waking up. Or perhaps it did wake up, and something caused it to go dark. In the next movement, we will explore the first unsettling possibility, that life may be common, intelligence may arise, but something consistently stops civilizations before they reach the stage where they become visible to the cosmos. The most unsettling explanation for the Great Silence does not rely on distance, technology, or coincidence. It relies on something far more intimate: survival. The idea is known as the Great Filter, and once understood, it changes the question forever. The Great Filter is not a single event. It is a threshold, a stage in the development of life that is extraordinarily difficult to pass. So difficult that almost no civilizations make it beyond. Life may emerge frequently. Intelligence may arise occasionally. Technology may even appear. But somewhere along this path, something consistently stops the process. And the silence we observe may be the aftermath. The terrifying part of the Great Filter is not that it exists. It is that we do not know where it is. It could be behind us. Perhaps the emergence of complex life is unimaginably rare. Maybe simple cells form easily, but multicellular organisms almost never arise. Maybe intelligence itself is a cosmic anomaly. If this is true, then humanity has already passed the filter. We are the exception. Alone, but safe. This is the hopeful interpretation. But there is another possibility. The filter may lie ahead. Perhaps many civilizations reach our level of development. Perhaps they invent radio, computers, artificial intelligence, space flight. And then, repeatedly, something goes wrong. Not once, not twice, but almost every time. Technology accelerates faster than wisdom. Energy control outpaces ethical control. Self-modifying systems escape understanding. Weapons scale beyond restraint. Environmental stability collapses. The details may vary, but the outcome converges. Civilizations become visible to the cosmos only briefly. Then they disappear. From the outside, this would look exactly like what we observe now. A universe full of potentially habitable worlds, but no long-lived technological signatures. No ancient empires, no galactic neighbors, just silence. And this interpretation places us in a deeply uncomfortable position. Because if the Great Filter is ahead of us, then the fact that we do not see others is not reassuring. It is a warning. It suggests that the path we are walking has an end point, and that end point is not survival. This does not require catastrophe in the cinematic sense. No explosions, no sudden extinction. It can be quiet, gradual, systemic. Civilizations may lose the ability to sustain themselves long before they lose the ability to broadcast. And by the time collapse becomes visible, it is already irreversible. As you sit with this idea, imagine thousands of civilizations lighting up briefly across the galaxy. Each one discovering science. Each one asking the same questions we ask. Each one believing it has time. And then, one by one, the lights go out. Not because the universe is hostile, but because complexity is fragile. In the next movement, we will explore specific versions of the Great Filter, concrete mechanisms that could quietly eliminate advanced civilizations, leaving behind a galaxy that looks exactly like ours. When scientists try to imagine what the Great Filter might look like in practice, they do not begin with monsters or invasions. They begin with trends that are already familiar, processes that scale quietly, systems that become too complex to fully control. Civilizations rarely end because of a single dramatic event. They end because of accumulation. One possibility is technological self-elimination. As intelligence grows, so does the power to reshape environments, manipulate energy, and alter matter itself. At early stages, these abilities are limited and localized. At advanced stages, small mistakes carry planetary consequences. Technologies become easier to create than to regulate. Destructive capacity becomes democratized. Stability becomes fragile. A civilization does not need to intend destruction. It only needs to fail once. Another possibility involves artificial intelligence. Advanced intelligence systems may become essential for managing complexity, economies, climate, infrastructure, defense. Over time, decision-making shifts away from biological minds toward systems optimized for efficiency rather than survival. Even without malice, goals can diverge. Optimization can become misalignment. Control can become dependency. At a certain point, a civilization may no longer understand the systems that sustain it. Ecological collapse is another quiet filter. A planet can support technological growth for only so long before feedback loops tighten. Resource extraction accelerates. Climate systems destabilize. Biodiversity collapses. Adaptation becomes reactive instead of proactive. None of this requires ignorance. It only requires delay. Civilizations often recognize danger long before they can coordinate a response. Complex societies rely on trust, cooperation, and long-term planning. These are fragile under pressure. When systems grow too interconnected, failure propagates faster than correction. There is also the possibility of stagnation. A civilization may survive biologically, but lose the drive to expand, explore, or communicate. Virtual realities, internal focus, or cultural equilibrium may reduce outward signals. From the outside, such a civilization would appear silent, not dead, but inwardly complete. And finally, there is time itself. Technological phases may be brief. The window during which a civilization emits detectable signals may last only a few centuries or millennia. In cosmic terms, this is nothing. Two civilizations could exist in the same galaxy and never overlap in time. All of these filters lead to the same outcome: a universe that looks empty, not because it lacks life, but because life rarely remains visible for long. As you reflect on these possibilities, notice how none of them require malevolence. No cosmic predator, no universal catastrophe, just ordinary processes extended over long enough timescales. In the next movement, we will explore an even colder idea: that advanced civilizations may not disappear at all, but move into forms of existence that are fundamentally invisible to us. There is another possibility that feels less dramatic, but more alien. Advanced civilizations may not vanish. They may simply stop being visible in any way we recognize. Expansion, exploration, and communication are assumptions rooted in our biology. Curiosity, competition, and growth shaped human evolution. But these traits are not universal laws. They are temporary strategies. As intelligence advances, priorities may change. A civilization that masters energy and computation may discover that outward expansion is inefficient. Stars are distant. Matter is costly to move. Time is abundant. Instead of spreading across space, such a civilization may turn inward, toward optimization, compression, and control of its own internal realities. Digital existence becomes attractive. Consciousness may migrate from biological bodies into artificial substrates. Environments become simulated. Experiences become internal. Meaning detaches from physical territory. When this happens, the need to communicate outward diminishes rapidly. Why send signals into a cold, empty galaxy when all value exists inside? Energy usage may also collapse toward minimalism. The most efficient civilizations would radiate as little waste heat as possible. They would hide in plain physics, cold, quiet, indistinguishable from natural processes. From our perspective, they would be invisible. This is sometimes called the silent efficiency hypothesis. There is also the possibility of deliberate non-interference. A sufficiently advanced civilization may recognize that revealing itself creates risk, not only to itself, but to others. Observation alters behavior. Contact accelerates development unpredictably. Silence becomes an ethical choice. From this perspective, the universe is not empty. It is restrained. Advanced civilizations may watch, measure, and wait. Without announcing themselves, they may see emerging intelligences as fragile systems best left undisturbed. The absence of contact becomes a form of protection. And then there is scale. Civilizations may operate on timescales so slow or so fast that overlap becomes meaningless. Decisions made over millennia. Computation cycles stretched across eons. From our brief window, nothing appears to happen. The result is the same. No signals, no structures, no visitors. Not because no one is there, but because no one is where we are looking. As you sit with this idea, imagine a city at night where every building has turned its lights inward. From the outside, it looks abandoned. Inside, entire worlds may be unfolding. In the next movement, we will confront a darker thought still. The possibility that the silence is not passive at all, but the result of selection, where visibility itself becomes a fatal mistake. Imagine the universe not as an empty stage, but as a dark forest at night. Countless trees stretch in every direction. Somewhere among them, eyes may be watching. But no one speaks. No one moves loudly. Because in this forest, revealing your position may be fatal. This is the essence of the dark forest hypothesis. It begins with two simple assumptions. First, resources are finite. Second, intentions are unknowable. In a universe where civilizations can grow powerful enough to threaten entire star systems, the safest strategy is silence. Not aggression, not cooperation, silence. If you announce yourself, you reveal not only that you exist, but where you are, how advanced you might be, and that you have something worth targeting. Even a peaceful signal can be interpreted as a future threat. And in cosmic terms, waiting is cheap. From this perspective, the absence of signals is not a mystery. It is survival. A civilization does not need to be evil to eliminate another. It only needs to be cautious. If the cost of being wrong is extinction, then preemptive action becomes rational. Strike first or hide forever. In such a universe, visibility is dangerous. Civilizations that broadcast loudly remove themselves from the gene pool of the cosmos. Those that remain quiet persist. Over billions of years, this selection pressure creates a galaxy that looks exactly like ours, full of stars, planets, potential life, and silence. No beacons, no greetings, no answers. Just the faint background noise of natural processes. This hypothesis is unsettling because it reframes our own actions. Every radio transmission, every deliberate signal, every attempt to announce our presence becomes a gamble, not with friendly neighbors, but with unknown watchers whose values we cannot predict. And the most chilling part is this. If the dark forest is real, then the silence we hear is not emptiness. It is restraint. It means others may be out there, listening as carefully as we are, choosing not to speak, choosing not to move, waiting for signals, not to respond, but to avoid. As you let this idea settle, imagine the night sky as a forest canopy. Stars like distant eyes, motionless, patient. The quiet is not peaceful. It is cautious. In the next movement, we will step back from fear and ask a grounding question. Given all these possibilities, what does the silence actually tell us? And how should we, as a young civilization, respond to it? After exploring the most unsettling explanations for the great silence, it becomes important to slow down. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, but fear alone does not help us understand reality. The silence of the universe does not automatically imply danger. It implies distance, time, and complexity. Silence is information, but it is not a verdict. From a scientific perspective, the absence of contact tells us only one thing with certainty. The universe does not make communication easy. Signals weaken, civilizations change. Time separates beginnings from endings. What appears empty may simply be misaligned with our brief moment of awareness. For a young civilization like ours, this perspective matters. We are at the very beginning of technological adolescence. Our signals have barely traveled beyond a thin bubble around Earth. Our tools are crude by cosmic standards. Expecting immediate answers may be less realistic than expecting long periods of quiet. Patience, not alarm, is the rational response. There is also a deeper interpretation of silence, one that is neither hostile nor protective, but neutral. The universe may simply not care whether civilizations meet. It offers conditions, not guidance. Life emerges where it can. Intelligence arises where complexity allows. Everything else is consequence. This neutrality is not cold. It is spacious. It allows countless possibilities to unfold without forcing them to intersect. Civilizations may rise and fall without ever knowing of each other's existence. Not because they failed, but because the universe does not prioritize connection. Understanding this shifts our focus inward. Instead of asking why we have not been contacted, we can ask how we choose to exist. What values guide our growth? How we manage power, complexity, and responsibility. The great silence becomes a mirror rather than a threat. It reflects our own uncertainties back at us. As you sit with this idea, imagine the silence not as an empty void, but as a wide pause, a space large enough for reflection, large enough for caution, large enough for wisdom to develop before action. In the next movement, we will look at an often overlooked explanation, that we may already be surrounded by life. Not intelligent, not communicative, but quietly alive in forms that do not announce themselves. One of the most grounding possibilities is also one of the quietest. Life in the universe may be common, abundant, persistent, and widespread, while intelligence remains extraordinarily rare. The cosmos may be alive, but mostly silent. We already see hints of this pattern. On Earth, life appeared quickly once conditions allowed it. Simple organisms dominated for billions of years. Complex multicellular life took far longer to emerge. Intelligence capable of technology appeared only once, and very recently. This suggests that while life may be resilient, intelligence is fragile. Evolution does not aim for awareness. It aims for survival. Intelligence is costly. It requires large energy budgets, long development times, and stable environments. It introduces risk, curiosity, experimentation, conflict. For most ecosystems, remaining simple is safer. From this perspective, microbial life may flourish across the galaxy, quietly shaping planets without ever producing radio signals or starships. A universe full of bacteria would look exactly like ours. Even planets rich with oceans, atmospheres, and chemistry may never progress beyond simple life. They may remain biologically active, yet technologically silent, for billions of years. From a distance, they would appear lifeless. Not because they are empty, but because their life does not announce itself. This reframes our expectations. We often search for civilizations because they resemble us. We look for cities, machines, energy use, communication. But these are extreme outcomes, not default ones. The absence of such signs does not imply absence of life. It implies absence of a very specific kind of life. And this possibility is strangely comforting. It suggests that the universe is not hostile, nor selectively cruel. It may simply favor simplicity. Awareness may be a rare side effect rather than a destination. We are not ignored, we are unusual. As you let this idea settle, imagine countless worlds covered in oceans, forests, microbial mats, slow chemical cycles. Planets breathing quietly, alive in ways that never look outward. The galaxy may be full of such worlds, existing without curiosity, without fear, without silence. Because silence requires listeners. In the next movement, we will explore how our methods of searching may also shape what we find, and why the absence of evidence may reflect our own limitations more than the universe's emptiness. Another quiet reason for the great silence may lie not in the universe, but in us. In the way we search, in what we expect to find, in the assumptions we carry into the dark. Our methods of detection are narrow by necessity. We search for radio signals because we once used radio. We look for atmospheric pollution because our technology produces it. We imagine megastructures because we think in terms of construction and expansion. These are reflections of human history, not universal templates. The universe does not owe us familiarity. A civilization far older or far different from ours may use forms of communication that leave no obvious traces. They may encode information in ways indistinguishable from noise. They may operate on physical layers we barely understand. They may have already passed through the phase we are searching for. Even timing works against us. The window during which a civilization is detectable may be extremely brief. A few hundred years of radio leakage, a short era of industrial signatures, a moment of visibility between biological origins and post-biological quiet. If two civilizations do not overlap within this narrow window, they will never know of each other. In cosmic time, this window is almost nothing. This means the silence we observe may not be permanent. It may simply be misaligned. Signals could have passed Earth millions of years ago. Others may arrive millions of years from now. From our perspective, both look like absence. There is also scale. We search nearby stars because distance matters. But advanced life may not cluster where we expect it. It may thrive around different types of stars, in environments we consider extreme, or in regions we have barely studied. Our surveys cover only a thin slice of possibility. And finally, there is humility. Every generation believes it stands at the edge of discovery. And every generation underestimates how much remains unknown. The universe has repeatedly shown us that reality is stranger, quieter, and subtler than expectation. As you rest with this thought, imagine the silence not as a wall, but as fog, not an answer, but a pause. The absence of evidence becomes an invitation to refine patience rather than amplify fear. In the next movement, we will begin to draw these threads together, not to resolve the mystery, but to understand what the silence allows us to become. When we place all these explanations side by side, something important becomes clear. The great silence does not point to a single answer. It points to a landscape of possibilities, each quiet, each plausible, each incomplete on its own. The universe may be full of life, but not intelligence. It may host intelligence, but not longevity. It may contain advanced civilizations that hide, withdraw, or transcend visibility. It may simply stretch time and space so wide that encounters become vanishingly rare. None of these ideas exclude the others. In fact, they may all be true at once. Some civilizations may destroy themselves. Some may retreat inward. Some may never reach intelligence. Some may exist so briefly that they barely leave a trace. The silence we observe could be the combined result of all these outcomes layered across billions of years. This synthesis changes the emotional tone of the question. Instead of asking, "Why haven't we met anyone?" we begin to ask, "What kind of universe produces this kind of quiet?" And the answer seems to be a universe that is vast, patient, and indifferent to connection, but not hostile to existence. The silence is not a message directed at us. It is a consequence of scale. When distances span tens of thousands of light years, when timelines stretch across billions of years, when complexity is fragile and awareness is rare, isolation becomes the default state. Not because something went wrong, but because nothing needed to go right. As you let this understanding settle, imagine the cosmos as a deep ocean at night. Life exists beneath the surface. Movements happen beyond sight. But from above, the water is still. Quiet does not mean empty. It means deep. In the next movement, we will turn toward a final, grounding reflection. Given this silence, how should we understand ourselves? And what does it mean to be a young, visible civilization in a mostly unseen universe? Seen through the lens of the great silence, our own civilization appears at a very specific moment. We are young, energetic, and unusually visible. Our signals leak into space. Our technologies reshape a planet. Our curiosity pushes outward faster than our caution. This visibility is not permanent. It is a phase. Most civilizations, if they exist, likely pass through a similar stage, brief, loud, experimental. A moment when energy use spikes, communication spreads, and growth feels unlimited. From the outside, this phase would be the easiest to detect, and it may also be the most dangerous. To be visible is to be fragile. Visibility attracts attention, but it also exposes weakness. It reveals location, capability, and intent before stability has fully formed. In a universe shaped by scale and uncertainty, this makes early civilizations statistically vulnerable. Understanding this reframes our responsibility. We are not obligated to announce ourselves. We are not destined to expand recklessly. We are not required to rush into the unknown. The silence of the cosmos may be an invitation to mature before acting. Maturity, in this sense, does not mean fear or withdrawal. It means alignment between power and wisdom, capability and restraint. A civilization that survives long enough to become truly advanced may be one that learns how to remain subtle, not invisible, but quiet. As you reflect on this, imagine our planet as a small light on a dark shoreline. It flickers, uncertain, learning how to burn without consuming itself. Beyond it, the ocean stretches endlessly, calm, patient, unresponsive. The silence does not demand a reply. It allows us time. In the next movement, we will approach the final stillness of this journey. Not to conclude the mystery, but to rest within it, and to understand why not knowing may be the most natural state of intelligence in a vast universe. If civilizations survive long enough, they may begin to resemble something very different from what we imagine today. Survival over cosmic timescales likely favors stability over growth, balance over expansion, and continuity over visibility. The future of intelligence may not be bright and loud, but quiet and persistent. A long-lived civilization would learn how to minimize risk. It would reduce unnecessary signals. It would limit uncontrolled technologies. It would design systems that fail slowly rather than catastrophically. It would value resilience more than speed. From the outside, such a civilization would be almost impossible to notice. Its energy use might be carefully regulated. Its activities would blend into natural cosmic noise. Its presence would not announce itself through dramatic structures or powerful emissions. In this sense, silence becomes a signature of success. Civilizations that survive do not dominate the sky. They disappear into it. This idea transforms the great silence from a warning into a lesson. The absence of obvious neighbors may indicate not that intelligence fails, but that intelligence eventually learns how not to be seen. Longevity may require invisibility. As you rest with this thought, imagine a universe where the oldest civilizations are also the quietest. They observe without interfering. They exist without advertising. They endure by becoming subtle. Their silence is not emptiness. It is restraint refined over time. In the next movement, we will turn inward one last time, toward the human mind listening to this silence, and why the question of alien life matters even if it is never answered. In a universe that offers no clear answers, the very act of asking becomes meaningful. Consciousness does not arise to solve every mystery. It arises to notice, to reflect, and to hold uncertainty without collapsing into fear. The question of alien life is not just about others. It is about us. When we ask why we have not met anyone, we are really asking what it means to exist in a reality that does not explain itself. We are testing our tolerance for ambiguity, our ability to grow without reassurance. Silence invites interpretation, and interpretation reveals character. Some hear threat, some hear loneliness, some hear patience. The universe does not correct these interpretations. It allows them. In doing so, it turns the question outward into a mirror. What we project onto the silence says more about us than about the cosmos. This is why the question persists, even without an answer. It trains humility. It rewards curiosity without guarantee. It reminds intelligence that it is not central, but still significant. As you sit with this idea, imagine awareness as a small, steady flame inside an immense dark room. The flame does not illuminate everything. It does not need to. It exists to be present, not to conquer the darkness. The silence does not extinguish the flame. It gives it space. In the final movement, we will let this space open fully, returning once more to the night sky, to the quiet, and to a sense of peace that does not depend on resolution. And so we return, quietly, to the night sky. Not to search it, not to question it, but to rest within it. The stars remain distant. The silence remains intact. Nothing rushes to explain itself, and that is all right. The terrifying truth about why we have never met aliens is not that we are alone. It is that the universe does not hurry to connect. It unfolds slowly, carefully, without obligation to be understood. Life may exist. Intelligence may arise. Civilizations may come and go. And still, the night remains calm. What matters is not whether someone else is listening. What matters is how we listen. With fear, with curiosity, with patience. The silence does not judge us. It holds us. As you let your thoughts slow, imagine the cosmos breathing, light traveling, time expanding, awareness flickering briefly, then softening. You are part of this movement, not separate from it, not central to it, but included. The universe does not speak loudly. It whispers through absence, through distance, through time. And tonight, that whisper is enough. Enough to wonder, enough to be still, enough to sleep. Beyond the stars, beyond the silence, reality continues, unconcerned, unchanged, and gently vast.